I've owned my L320 3-litre turbo diesel 2010 Range Rover now, Range Rover Sport I should say, for exactly 12 months. So I thought I'd give you a rundown of what it's cost, any problems I've encountered, and sum everything up and give you a cost of ownership. So let's have a look. Most of you have spotted that the car's looking a little bit dirty at the moment, but I'm going to give it a full valet this week, and maybe I'll even cover that in another video. So let's have a look inside the car, sit down and go through all the figures. For the past 2 months, on and off, a couple of security safety warnings have come on the dashboard when I start the car up. One is coolant level, which is a red warning, and the other is an amber warning, which is restricted performance. Now I'm going to switch the car on now to see if they appear. As you can see, our service is going to be booked in about a month's time, so no safety warnings have popped up there. Now the coolant level one has been checked out, and there's no problem with the coolant level at all. In fact, it's on the maximum mark, and I'll have a look at that in a minute. But I understand that the coolant level sensor in these can be a bit faulty, and it throws up periodic warnings, so that is an item that's more than likely going to have to be replaced. When I went out this morning and the restricted performance light came on, I did stop and did a quick talk through of that. So here that is. One of the two errors that are showing on the dash is, as you can see here, restricted performance. Now I'm not seeing any change in the acceleration or performance of the car. And I've done a little bit of research, and it may be that it's one of the mass airflow sensors, probably the primary one in front of the first turbo. So I'm going to be having a look at that in the near future. But as I say, it's not affecting performance. Right, hi. Okay, let's have a look at how much the car has cost to run since I've had it. In the 12 months, almost to the day, I've covered 4,239 miles. The average fuel consumption is 21.2 miles to the gallon. That relates to an overall cost in fuel of £1,081. Then you've got the MOT cost, which was £45. It's sold through the MOT with absolutely no advisories. The insurance is another big bill, which is £533 last year, and they wanted £566 this year to insure. So I've searched around thinking that was a little bit too much money to pay out. So I've managed to get that now for £435, which is a reasonable saving. If you want to know who that insurance company is, and they are a good one, I'm not going to give any free advertising out, but contact me if you want to, and I'll let you know. The other cost, the big cost, has been a brand new set of Avon ZX7 tyres, and they're very good tyres. I've read some reviews on them, and I've actually chosen those. They came in at £548 all but 4 pence, and they are good tyres. Not a great deal of road noise, good road holding, especially in the wet. The Avons are renowned for the wet road holding ability. I did have a problem with one of the wheels, in that there was a very slight crack, and it was causing the tyre to deflate over probably 2 or 3 hours. So there's a local company who do wheel rim repairs, and it's been fine ever since that. I wouldn't normally go down the route of repairing a wheel, but it was such a small nick in the corner of the rim that I decided to go ahead with that, and I've had no problems since. To live with, the car's been absolutely fine. As I said, the only problems really have been the warning lights that have come up. I will show you another little niggle, but that's all I've been, is niggles. I did a little video a few months ago on what I do like and what I don't like about the car, and it's mostly likes. One thing I didn't say in that video was these vents, the cooling vents and the heater vents. They're very tiny in these cars, and they're very fiddly to try and get the right direction of the airflow. So that's one thing I don't particularly like about the car, but it's a minor thing. It does cool it down, and it does give you a good heat out of it, so they operate okay. It's just direction. Anything else to say on that? Right, okay. So how much does it cost per mile? Excluding depreciation, it's cost 52 pence a mile to run. Now, you've got to take into consideration that I've only done really short journeys. Out of that 4,200 odd miles, probably 800 miles has been on a motorway, going down to Newquay last June. But apart from that, it's been short journeys of probably 5, 6, 7 miles, and the car's barely got enough time to warm up. So, okay, servicing costs. How much do Land Rover want to do a full service on this car? I also asked about the cost of a gearbox flush. The service, they wanted £750 plus VAT, which would probably knock it up to somewhere around £850. And for the gearbox flush, it was £450 again plus VAT. I normally try and service cars myself if I can, but in this instance, for a first service, I'm not going to do that. So I thought I'd shop around, and there's a very local guy to me who owns a small business, and he concentrates on servicing Land Rovers and Range Rovers. He's an ex-Land Rover guy who's worked on servicing for many years, and for a full service he wants £260, and to change the gearbox oil he hasn't got the facilities to give it a flush. He wants £200, I believe. So that's some saving over going to a Land Rover dealer. So that's the route I'm going to take. For anyone that's local to me in the Birmingham area, if they want to get in touch, once I've had the service from him, I'll let you know what the service was like, and whether it's good value for money, and whether I was pleased with the service. So that's coming up. So let's have a look at those warning faults and go in the engine. Okay, here we are onto the engine bay. The first thing we'll look at is that coolant level. And here is the coolant tank, and if you can see down there, I don't know if it's going to be clear, you might just be able to make out 2 ridges down there. The first one is the max, the low one the minimum, and that's for cold. Now I've been on a run, so the coolant level's a bit warm, so let's have a look inside. It's got discoloured plastic, so it's no good looking at the side there, you've got to look inside. So let's open it up. And if you look inside there, You can see there is absolutely no problem with the coolant level at all. So it's a problem. So it's an actual problem with the sensor. It's intermittent fault, but it does need replacing at some time. So I will be going through a video on how to change that sometime in the near future. The other fault code was for the mass airflow sensor, and on this TDV6 there are two. One here, which is the primary one, I believe, and that's the secondary one. Now the primary one goes to the first turbo, and the secondary one to the second turbo, and it's usually this one that fails. So what I'll do, it is going for a service, as I've said. I'm going to have a diagnostics done on it for about £60, but this is something I can fit myself. The first thing to do would be to remove them and give them a good clean out with brake cleaner, carburetor cleaner, and that usually does the trick. But if it's more of a serious fault with the MAF, it's a replacement, and I believe they're about £120 a piece. So as I say, this one is usually the one to go first. You can swap them round and see what happens, but again, I'll do an instructional video on that and see what the problem is. So there we go. You can see the 12-volt power supply in the boot. The casing that holds it in has failed, but as I say, it's not working. So whether it's simply a fuse or not, I don't know. But that's one of the niggles with this car at the moment, the failure of that. As you can see down here, that's part of the casing that holds it in, and there's the cap, but I need a new one of those. You can see there's the switch. So I'll investigate that, and I'll post something in an upcoming video.